If you're in commercial real estate, you're probably feeling a bit of a pinch right now. With sales volume down 50%, getting deals done is hard. Finding good clients is even more difficult than before. So I asked my business partner, George Pino. Together we own Commercial Brokers International. George is the CEO of that company. George, thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
So we have about 15 agents under our management, and so we sit down and do this almost every day, right?
Yes.
And so we're used to this conversation. It's been very helpful for our agents. We've seen a pickup in investment sales. So we really wanted to relay this to you today, what's been working well for us. Now, if you have questions during this process, go ahead and put them in the comments, and we'll get back to you on it. But George, let's dive in right away. Let's talk about the number one thing that we're really seeing. And, we've just got a new agent. He's on, I think it's Reonomy he's using, right? And he's going after NODs.
Yeah.
Working very well for him.
Absolutely. And, a lot of this goes back to, finding qualified clients, and more importantly, a motivated seller.
Right.
Right now, especially with the industry a little bit in flux, we've been hearing all this news about how sellers are expecting a price here and buyers are expecting a price here. So really, you want to make sure that your seller is getting a realistic price of what their expectations are, and to really motivate them, you've got to find the motivated sellers.
Yeah.
And if they're tracking a notice of default, meaning that they've defaulted on their loan, that's probably a motivated seller that either has to sell or has to refinance, or they're going to lose the property and all their equity that they have in it.
Right.
So it can be potentially a great seller to do it. He's having some very good success on reaching out to them directly, just as a helpful, I'm here to help. Here's, let me help you with your analysis, and if you want, we can sell it at this price,
Yeah.
or even use your lender contacts and possibly help them get a refinance.
Get a fee for that refinance.
Get a fee for that refinance. More importantly, if you're adding value and bringing them, when it does come time to sell, he's going to be able to remember you, and that investor is going to come back to you.
Yep, exactly. So that's something that's been working very well for our investment sales team. So that's something you want to try to do. Another one has been for sale by owners. They've been driving areas, and they've been going on Craigslist and all the other sites and finding for sale by owners and calling on them. Now, you have to remember when you're calling on a for sale by owner, I just did a short on this the other day, so fresh, top of mind, is that it's an education process. They're out there trying to save money, so you have to really walk them through what value you bring to them. And so our company, Commercial Brokers International, has about 45,000 people on the email list. Our digital marketing is on point. If you Google a commercial broker in Los Angeles, we're going to come up as number one in front of most all the firms out there, even including the majors. And because we've been doing it for a long time. And so we have that pitch that we give them about, this is what we bring to you. And so, plus you can also help them with your vendors, right? You've got your escrow title.
Also just the
attorneys.
legal aspects.
Yeah.
And not just the attorney side of it, but let's say, disclosure. Certain states have mandatory disclosures that if you don't disclose, you could be held legally liable down the road. So using a broker can bring that. What agents have to remember, though, is that with FSBOs, or for sale by owners, there's only two reasons why someone's going to take it and for sale by owner. Number one is that they want a price that's so high that no sane agent is willing to take it at that price. So those are very hard to overcome and explain your value to them, because they don't care. They're just price driven. The others are those that are trying to save a dollar. And they think that by not paying a commission, by not hiring a broker, I don't have to pay a commission, and I save money. The fact is, though, that typical commissions are 5 to 6%, but statistically speaking, sales of properties done for sale by owners versus those that are represented by agents on just straight analytics, we're about 10% higher in pricing. So we're actually creating more value for the client than what they're spending to hire us.
Right.
So that's the education process I think that a lot of the agents have to focus on, and exactly what you talked about, how we get there, through our marketing, through our understanding of the current market conditions and the concessions that are given, and then the negotiating ability, and then the legal aspect.
Right. Yeah.
So,
It's a good way to grow your business right now.
Absolutely.
Next, seller financing. We're having some luck with that, but we're I guess this is something you should take lead on, is approaching the sellers and saying, listen, if you really want to sell it right now, we got to price it right. And if you're willing to do seller financing, I think that can be a home run for you as well. Then you have to kind of negotiate, what kind of interest rate would you be looking for? How long would you be holding on it? Is it going to be 1 year, 2 year, 3 years that you want to hold the financing, or whatever the time frame is?
Yep, absolutely. And I think the key for an agent when discussing with the seller on the seller financing is explaining that this is to facilitate the sale, not necessarily to get them extra income on it.
Right.
So, if the seller is going to ask for above market rate terms that are not that favorable to a buyer, then why even offer it? Right. No one's going to go. It adds no value. They would be better off going conventional financing.
Right.
So that's where you have to really go into, and again, it's part of the education process. Well, some of the things that you can also approach with a seller is, maybe if they do have the equity to do seller financing, a lot of times I talk to a seller, and one of the reasons they don't want to sell is because they're worried about 1031. What are they going to exchange into? A lot of times that we can use when it comes to the seller financing is when I'm talking to sellers, a lot of times they don't want to sell because they have nothing to exchange into, and they don't want to have to pay the capital gains tax. Yeah. So by offering seller financing, that can actually lower the amount of capital gains that they have to pay if they don't need the cash right now, until that loan is paid off. Obviously, you can't avoid taxes forever. IRS has every rule to find you and track you down. So, but it can defer those taxes during that time frame by giving that financing aspect, and then when that loan is paid off, then you can have another capital gains tax or potential for doing the exchange at that time.
Yeah. Yep, that's perfect. And then another one is converting from one asset class to another. Now, I know that a couple of the agents are really focused on multifamily around Los Angeles, and they're converting them to STNLs in other states. And that's been working pretty well.
Yeah. This is a newer strategy. All the ones that we've talked about have been time tested and proved for decades. This is what everyone always kind of went after or tried to go after. May have gotten forgotten in the last 10 years when in an up market. But converting one asset class to another, that's something that really agents have really started looking at just in the last 10, 12 years or so. And a lot of it was converting from multifamily to a single tenant net lease. Here's how I look at it, and here's how I always work with my clients, because my clients are typically investors, and they're looking at this as an investment. And as any investment, they should be looking and analyzing that investment annually to determine whether or not it is performing at the best return for what the investment dollar that they put into it. So what I do is every year I may reach out to the client and talk about, have you thought about selling this property? Because here's another asset, or here's another property that you can actually increase your returns and your yields overall if you do this exchange. Yeah. So we're looking at moving them from one asset class to another, because a lot of times, although real estate is cyclical, a lot of times the asset classes are cyclical as well. So industrial may be up while office is down, kind of like right now, or retail up and industrial down. It all depends. So understanding what's happening in that marketplace, you're able to move those agents or clients around from different assets to actually increase their returns. It generates more business for you. It's a win-win situation for everybody. Key point, though, is you need to make sure you have a team of other agents that understand the other asset classes to support you. So this is where a full-service brokerage company comes in really handy, as opposed to some of the brokerages that just specialize in one thing, like multifamily or single-tenant net lease or office. Yeah,
completely agree. Now, lastly, expanding on your marketing. I think that is something, I do a lot of one-on-ones with agents around the country, and a lot of them are doing one or two things pretty well. The thing is, in this market, you've got to cast as wide a net as you can. You need to be doing video, you need to be doing content creation, you need to be writing blogs, you need to be making cold calls. You need to be doing all of it right now. And I keep hearing from agents, I just don't have the time. And I sit down with them and go through, well, how much time do you think it's going to take to create a piece of content? And it's not near as long. There's a lot of great tools out there. And if you don't know what they are, hit me down below in the comments, and I'll send you some stuff that our marketing team uses. There's too many of them to really list here right now, but you've got to really push forward with your marketing, and I really suggest you start using video. Get your phone out, get behind that camera and start talking. Go out when you're out doing a showing, go a little bit early and walk the property and talk about the property on camera. If you're doing inspections, do the same thing. But documenting your day is a lot easier than just creating content. And if you're doing 2 to 3 marketing pieces a week, that's great. But again, writing the blogs and getting them on your website, your Facebook page, or your company's Facebook page, company's website, and also Google. And want to get this stuff all out there, or not Google, medium.com. And it's a place, I don't know if you guys know what medium.com is, but it's a place where you can post your stuff and build a nice community, and they'll start following you, and it works very, very well. And then reviews. Get people you've done deals with to write you reviews and get that on Google, Facebook, and your website.
Yeah.
Reviews are key.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one thing that's overlooked a lot with agents, combination of the reviews, but also the marketing. We're, as commercial real estate as an industry, we are behind the times when it comes to marketing.
We're catching up pretty quickly.
We're catching up pretty quickly, but to me, all that means is that for younger agents and agents that are out there that want to jump into this, or even older agents that aren't doing this, it is a Wild West territory that you can claim your niche and your 40 acres right there. You can get out there, be first to market, and really take over a market with the marketing aspect of it. And this is what I tell agents when they tell me that I don't have the time to do that.
Yeah.
And for me, everything is about time, value, money. Is the time I'm putting into something valuable enough? Is it going to have a return?
Right.
So, I probably spend an hour and a half, 2 hours a week, maybe on the social marketing.
Right.
And that generally generates 2 to 3 deals a year with gross commissions probably in the $120,000, $150,000 a year. My 100 hours, is it worth $200,000? 100 hours of time spent doing my marketing, is it worth an extra $200,000 in income?
I would say yes.
Most people do say yes. So this is a key thing, because I think the agents don't understand that, yes, the social marketing and everything is great for getting your exposure and your name out there, but you need to be able to convert that over. So you got to bring value to your marketing. Yeah. And, that's one of the key points.
One thing, George, though, I find that when somebody says I don't have the time, and I really break it down, and, I'll find that a lot of it's just fear. They're afraid to take it on. And you can't be. You've got to sit down at night and figure out how to post on all these platforms. But know that each platform if you're going to post something on LinkedIn, it's going to be different than your post on TikTok or Instagram. It's different people, different types of people on every platform. And so be aware of that. When we say bring value, you have to understand what bringing value is. It's something that's in your community that somebody really wants. It's value to them, to that people. If you have a massive email list, it needs to be broken down. Okay, these are multifamily, these are sphere of influence, these are office people. Because if you're sending multifamily information to office people, they're just going to unsubscribe on you. You don't want to do that.
Absolutely.
You want to make sure that you're getting your structure of the way you're doing your marketing has got to be key. Now, if any of you have any questions on this, you want to book some time, I'm happy to do about a half hour with everybody. Just go in the comments down below. Let's book some time. I'll meet with you. We'll walk you through it and go a little bit more in depth. But George, thank you for coming on today. I think this is valuable information for everybody. I do think that if you take some of this and start doing it, we're doing it, and it's working well for our agents, and I really think it can work well for you. So if you could, do reach out and let us know how we can help you. And if you also could, please give us a like. And if you haven't done so, make sure you subscribe.